Dr. Alex Rivers wiped the sweat from his forehead as he pushed through the thick jungle vines. The Amazon rainforest was nothing like the comfortable labs back in California. Here, every step felt like walking through a living wall of green. Bugs buzzed around his head, and the air was so thick with moisture that breathing felt like drinking water. Alex had been walking for 3 days now, following an old river that wound deep into unexplored territory. His backpack was heavy with scientific equipment, water testing kits, cameras, and sample containers. He was here on a mission that could change everything scientists knew about life on Earth. 3 months ago, satellite images had shown something strange in this remote part of the Amazon. There was a perfect circle of dark water, completely still, surrounded by trees that seemed to glow with an unusual light. Local tribes called it the death pool and refused to go near it. But Alex wasn't superstitious. He was a scientist, and strange things in nature usually had perfectly logical explanations. What Alex didn't know was that someone had been watching him since the moment he entered the forest. High above in the canopy, something moved through the trees with impossible grace. It didn't make a sound as it leaped from branch to branch, following the human below. This was Kira, though Alex would never learn her real name. She was 7 feet tall, with skin that shifted color like liquid, silver. Her large, dark eyes could see heat patterns, and right now she was tracking the warm glow of Alex's body as he stumbled through her territory. Kira had been hunting for over 200 years, but she had never tracked anything quite like this, human. Most creatures in the forest moved with purpose, hunting, hiding, or searching for food. But this one carried strange metal objects and stopped every few minutes to point them at plants and water. It was the oddest behavior she had ever seen. Alex stopped beside a large tree to rest and drink some water. As he tilted his head back, he got the strangest feeling that he was being watched. The jungle was full of animals, of course, but this felt different, more focused, more intelligent. He looked around carefully but saw nothing except endless green leaves and twisted vines. Just your imagination, he told himself, but his voice sounded small in the vast jungle. He pulled out his GPS device and checked his location. According to his calculations, the mysterious pool was less than a mile away. Alex felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had traveled halfway around the world for this moment, and soon he would finally see what had puzzled scientists for months. Up in the trees, Kira watched the human play with his strange devices. Her own technology was far more advanced. A small device implanted behind her ear could translate any language and scan any object from a distance. Right now, it was telling her something that made her very concerned. The human was heading directly toward the sacred pool. Kira's people, the Valyrians, had been visiting Earth for thousands of years. They had always been careful to stay hidden from humans, but they had left certain markers behind, places that were important to their culture and history. The sacred pool was one of their most holy sites, a place where her ancestors had performed ceremonies that connected them to their home world among the stars. Ancient stone carvings around the pool warned that only those with pure hearts could approach the sacred waters. But humans couldn't read Valyrian writing. They had no idea what they were walking into. Alex continued his journey, unaware of the internal struggle happening above him. Kira had strict orders from her people: protect the sacred sites at all costs. If any human discovered their secrets, she was supposed to make sure they never told anyone else about it. It was a rule that had kept her people safe for centuries. But as she watched Alex carefully step around rare plants and avoid disturbing bird nests, she began to wonder if all humans were the same. This one seemed different. He treated the forest with respect, almost like he understood that he was a visitor in someone else's home. The afternoon sun was getting lower when Alex finally saw it. Through a gap in the trees, there was a flash of dark water that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His heart started beating faster. After 3 days of difficult travel, he had found the mysterious pool. Alex pushed through the last line of trees and stopped dead in his tracks. The pool was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was perfectly round, about 50 feet across, and so dark that it looked like a mirror made of black glass. The water was completely still. Not even a ripple disturbed its surface. But the strangest thing was what surrounded the pool. The trees here were different from the rest of the forest. Their leaves had a subtle glow, as if they were lit from within. Strange symbols were carved into the rocks around the water's edge, symbols that looked nothing like any ancient human writing Alex had ever studied. He set up his camp about 30 feet from the pool, far enough away to be respectful, but close enough to study it properly. As he unpacked his equipment, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this place was special in ways he didn't understand yet. That night, as Alex sat by his small campfire eating a simple dinner, he felt the watching sensation stronger than ever. Several times he turned quickly, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was out there, but he saw only darkness between the trees. High above, Kira crouched on a thick branch, wrestling with a decision that would change both their lives. Her finger hovered over a communication device that would call her ship. One signal and other Valerians would arrive to deal with the human problem permanently. But something about Alex made her hesitate. He had spent the entire evening taking pictures of the pool and the surrounding area, but he had been careful not to disturb anything. He had even moved his campfire when he realized the smoke might damage some delicate plants. As Alex finally went to sleep in his small tent, Kira made her choice. She would watch and wait. If the human tried to take anything from the sacred site or damage it in any way, she would act. But for now, she would simply observe. Neither of them knew that Alex's presence had already triggered something ancient and powerful. Deep beneath the still waters of the pool, systems that had been sleeping for centuries were slowly beginning to wake up. The hunt had begun, but it would soon become something much more complicated than either the scientist or the Huntress could imagine. Alex woke up to the strangest sound he had ever heard. It was like music, but not quite. A low humming that seemed to come from the pool itself. He checked his watch. 3 a.m. The jungle was usually alive with night sounds, but everything was completely silent except for that mysterious humming. He grabbed his flashlight and carefully unzipped his tent. The pool looked different in the darkness. Instead of appearing black like a mirror, it now glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Alex rubbed his eyes, thinking he might be dreaming. But the glow was definitely real. His scientific mind immediately kicked into gear. Bioluminescence. That had to be it. Some kind of microscopic organisms in the water were producing light, probably reacting to temperature changes or the moon's position. But the regular pulsing pattern was unlike anything he had studied before. Alex spent the rest of the night taking measurements and photos. His equipment was going crazy. The electromagnetic readings were off the charts, and his water temperature sensors couldn't get a stable reading. It was as if the pool was generating its own energy field. When morning came, Alex felt exhausted, but excited. This was exactly the kind of discovery that could make his career. He started setting up more sophisticated equipment around the pool's edge, being careful not to disturb the carved symbols on the rocks. Up in the trees, Kira watched, with growing alarm. The humans' devices were detecting energy signatures that even her advanced Valerian technology found impressive. Her scanner was telling her something impossible. The pool's quantum resonance was identical to the sacred frequencies used in her people's most important ceremonies. How could a human's primitive equipment pick up readings that sophisticated, alien technology was designed to measure? Kira activated her camouflage system and dropped silently to the ground. She needed to get closer to understand what the human was really doing. Moving like a shadow, she crept to the edge of Alex's camp. While he was busy with his instruments, his notebook was open, filled with drawings and calculations. Kira's translation device quickly converted the human writing, and what she read made her blood run cold. Alex had somehow figured out that the pool's energy patterns matched astronomical cycles. He had drawn star charts that were remarkably accurate, considering humans weren't supposed to know about most of those star systems. But the most shocking discovery was Alex's theory about the pool's age. Based on mineral deposits and erosion patterns, he had calculated that the pool was at least 10,000 years old, which matched exactly when Kira's ancestors had first visited Earth. Alex returned to his equipment, and Kira quickly retreated to the safety of the trees. Her mind was racing. According to everything her people believed, humans were a young species, barely capable of space travel. They weren't supposed to be smart enough to understand Valyrian science, yet this human had spent just one night studying the sacred pool and had discovered secrets that took her people centuries to understand. That afternoon, Alex made another breakthrough. He had lowered an underwater camera into the pool, expecting to find the bottom after a few feet. Instead, his camera kept descending. 20 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet. The pool seemed to go down forever. But at around 200 feet, the camera picked up something incredible. The walls of the pool weren't natural rock. They were covered in the same strange symbols that surrounded the pool's edge. Someone had carved them underwater, which should have been impossible with primitive tools. Alex pulled up the camera and reviewed the footage on his laptop. The symbols seemed to form patterns, almost like a language. He had studied ancient writing, systems from around the world. But this was completely different. The symbols had a flowing, organic quality that reminded him more of mathematical equations than traditional letters. As he worked late into the evening, Alex began to feel that strange sensation of being watched again. This time, though, it felt less threatening and more curious, like whatever was out there was as interested in him as he was in the pool. He decided to try something. "I know you're out there," he said to the dark jungle. "I don't know what you are, but I'm not here to hurt anything. I'm just trying to understand." High above, Kira was shocked to hear the human speaking directly to her. Her camouflage was perfect. No human technology could detect her. Yet somehow, Alex sensed her presence. That night, while Alex slept, Kira made a decision that would have horrified her commanders. She accessed his computer. Valyrian technology was thousands of years ahead of human science, so breaking through Alex's simple password protection was easy. But what she found in his files changed everything she thought she knew about humans. Alex wasn't just any scientist. He was an environmental researcher who had spent his entire career trying to protect Earth's natural resources. His files were full of reports about climate change, species extinction, and habitat destruction. But instead of just documenting problems, Alex had developed practical solutions that had already saved thousands of acres of rainforest. More importantly, Alex's personal notes revealed something that touched Kira's heart. He wasn't studying the pool for fame or money. He genuinely believed it might hold secrets that could help heal Earth's damaged ecosystems. He wanted to understand the pool so he could protect it. As Kira read through Alex's research, she began to see him not as a threat, but as someone who shared her people's deepest values. The Valyrians had always believed that knowledge should be used to preserve and protect life, not destroy it. When Alex woke up the next morning, he immediately knew someone had been in his camp. His laptop was in a slightly different position, and his notebooks had been carefully rearranged. But nothing was missing or damaged. It was as if someone had simply wanted to learn about him. Alex looked around the jungle with new eyes. Whatever was watching him wasn't trying to hurt him. It was trying to understand him, just as he was trying to understand the pool. "I wish we could talk," he said quietly to the trees. "I think we might have more in common than you realize." Hidden in the canopy above, Kira found herself agreeing with the human. For the first time in her long life as a hunter, she wondered if there might be a better solution than simply following her orders. The pool pulsed with its mysterious blue light, as if it too was waiting to see what would happen next. Alex couldn't contain his excitement any longer. After 5 days of studying the pool, he had discovered things that could change science forever. He pulled out his satellite phone and dialed his research partner back at the university. "Dr. Collins, it's Alex. You're not going to believe what I've found." His voice echoed slightly in the quiet jungle as he described the glowing pool, the underwater symbols, and the impossible energy readings. Dr. Rachel Collins had been his colleague for 8 years, and she was the only person who would understand the significance of his discoveries. "The electromagnetic patterns are unlike anything in our databases," Alex explained, pacing excitedly around his camp. "And the depth measurements don't make sense. This pool could be connected to underground cave systems we've never discovered." Alex didn't realize was that his conversation was being intercepted by technology, far more advanced than anything humans had created. High above, Kira's ship monitored all electronic communications in the area. Her heart sank as she listened to Alex's excited voice describing the sacred pool to another human. According to the transmission, Dr. Collins was already making arrangements to fly to Brazil with a full research team. They would arrive in 3 days with heavy equipment, ground-penetrating radar, and underwater exploration gear. The secret that Kira's people had protected for thousands of years was about to be exposed to the entire human scientific community. Kira activated her emergency beacon. Within hours, other Valyrian hunters would arrive with orders to clean up the situation permanently. There would be no more time for observation or hesitation. The humans had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed, but as she prepared to signal her ship, Kira found herself hesitating. Over the past week, she had watched Alex treat the sacred site with more respect than many of her own people showed. He had been careful not to damage anything, had refused to take samples from the pool itself, and had even built his campfire downwind to avoid contaminating the area with smoke. That night, Alex had the most vivid dream of his life. He saw the jungle from above, flying through the canopy like a bird. But instead of seeing the green maze he had struggled through for days, he saw patterns, energy lines that connected the pool to other sites around the world, forming a network that spanned continents. In his dream, the symbols around the pool weren't just decorations. They were instructions, warnings, and invitations all at once. And somehow Alex understood that the pool wasn't just a natural phenomenon. It was a test. He woke up with tears on his face, though he couldn't remember why he had been crying. Dream felt more real than his waking life, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something important was about to happen. Alex spent the morning making detailed drawings of the symbols, trying to capture the sense of meaning he had felt in his dream. As he worked, that familiar feeling of being watched grew stronger than ever, but this time it didn't feel like observation from a distance. It felt like someone was standing right behind him. He turned around slowly and his pencil fell from his hand. A figure stood at the edge of his camp, tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shift between silver and pale blue depending on how the light hit it. Alex's mind struggled to process what he was seeing. The being was clearly female, but unlike any human woman he had ever seen. She had to be at least 7 feet tall, with elongated limbs and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold depths of intelligence and sadness. "Dr. Rivers," she said, and her voice had a musical quality that made his name sound like a song. "You have been studying our sacred waters." Alex's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Every rational part of his mind was screaming that this was impossible, but the evidence stood before him. He was face to face with something that shouldn't exist according to everything he knew about the world. You're not human," he finally managed to whisper. "No," Kira replied, stepping closer with movements that seemed to flow like water. "I am Valyrian. My people have been guardians of this place for longer than your species has existed." Alex's scientific training kicked in, overriding his shock. "Valyrian? That means you're from somewhere else? Another planet?" Kira nodded, studying his face for signs of fear or aggression. Instead, she saw only wonder and curiosity. "Your kind was not supposed to find this place. The symbols around the pool are warnings in my language. They say that only those with pure intentions may approach the sacred waters." "Sacred waters," Alex repeated, looking back at the pool with new understanding. "That's why the local tribes call it the death pool. They knew it was dangerous." "Not dangerous," Kira corrected. "Sacred. There is a difference. But your people do not understand the difference between power and responsibility." Alex felt his heart racing, but not from fear. Despite everything impossible about this situation, he felt a strange sense of rightness, as if this meeting was meant to happen. "I've been respectful," he said carefully. "I haven't taken anything or damaged anything. I just want to understand." Kira tilted her head, considering his words. "Understanding can be more dangerous than taking. You have called others. They are coming with machines that will destroy the sanctity of this place. Dr. Collins, Alex said, remembering his phone call. But I can stop them. I can tell them not to come. It is too late, Kira said sadly. The knowledge has been shared. Soon your military will know of this place. They will come with weapons and fear, as humans always do when they encounter something they cannot control. Alex shook his head desperately. Not all humans are like that. Some of us just want to learn to protect things that are important, like you do. For the first time since revealing herself, Kira seemed uncertain. You speak of protection, but your people destroy everything they touch. Your forests burn, your oceans die, your air becomes poison. How can you protect what is sacred when you cannot even protect your own world? The accusation hit Alex like a physical blow, because he knew it was true, but it also ignited something fierce inside him. Because some of us are trying to change that. I've spent my whole life working to save what's left of Earth's natural places. I came here because I thought this pool might hold answers that could help heal the damage we've done. Kira studied him for a long moment, her large eyes seeming to look directly into his soul. You truly believe this? I swear it, Alex said. I don't want to exploit this place, I want to understand it so I can protect it. The sound of helicopter rotors in the distance made them both look up. Dr. Collins had arrived a day early and she wasn't alone. Through the trees, Alex could see multiple aircraft approaching. Kira's expression hardened. Now you will see the true nature of your species, she said, raising a crystalline device that hummed with energy. And I will do what I must to protect what is sacred. The helicopter noise grew louder, and Alex could see 3 aircraft circling overhead. His heart sank as he recognized the markings. These weren't just university research helicopters. 2 of them belonged to the Brazilian military, and the third had symbols he didn't recognize but looked official and threatening. Dr. Collins must have contacted the authorities, Alex said, his voice barely audible over the rotor noise. She probably thought I was in danger when I described the strange energy readings. Kira's crystalline weapon glowed brighter, and Alex could feel the air around them starting to vibrate with power. Your friend has brought soldiers, she said, her musical voice now carrying an edge of anger. They will destroy everything to satisfy their curiosity and fear. Alex looked back and forth between Kira and the helicopters, his mind racing. In a few minutes, armed soldiers would rappel down into the clearing, and Dr. Collins would arrive with her scientific equipment. They would see Kira, and Alex knew exactly what would happen next. Fear would take over. Weapons would be drawn. Someone would get hurt, and this sacred place would become a battlefield. There has to be another way, Alex said desperately. Let me talk to them. I can explain that you're peaceful, that this place is protected. Kira's large eyes looked at him with something that might have been pity. Your people do not listen to words when they are afraid. They only understand force. The helicopters were finding places to land now, pushing down trees with their powerful rotors. Alex could see figures in military gear preparing to descend on ropes. In less than 5 minutes, everything would change forever. But as Alex watched the destruction the helicopters were causing just by landing, something clicked in his mind. For the past week, he had been studying the pool's energy patterns, its rhythms, its responses to different conditions. He had noticed that the water's glow grew brighter when he was excited or curious and dimmer when he was frustrated or angry. The pool seemed to respond to emotions, to intentions. Kira, he said suddenly, you said the symbols around the pool are warnings, but what do they actually say? She looked confused by the question but answered anyway. They say that only those with pure hearts may enter the sacred waters. Those who seek to exploit or destroy will find only emptiness. But those who come seeking to understand and protect will be granted wisdom. Enter the waters, Alex repeated, looking at the pool with new eyes. What happens if someone actually goes in? No one has ever tried, Kira said. The pool has been here for thousands of years, but my people consider it too sacred to touch. We believed humans were too primitive to understand its true purpose. Alex started walking toward the pool, his mind made up. Maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe the pool isn't meant to be protected from everyone. Maybe it's meant to be a test. Alex, no, Kira called out, using his first name for the first time. You don't understand what you're doing. but Alex was already pulling off his boots and shirt. The helicopter noise was getting closer, and he could hear voices shouting commands in Portuguese. In moments, soldiers would break through the tree line with their weapons ready. "If this pool is sacred to your people," Alex shouted over the noise, "then let it judge me. Let it decide if I'm worthy." He ran toward the pool's edge, and Kira realized with horror what he was planning to do. "The pool has never been tested," she cried. "We don't know what it will do to a human." Alex reached the rocky edge and looked down into the dark water. It was glowing brighter now, pulsing faster, as if it could sense his intention. For a moment, doubt crept into his mind. He was about to jump into an alien pool that might kill him instantly, but then he heard the sound of boots crashing through the jungle behind him. Soldiers were almost at the clearing, and he could hear Dr. Collins calling his name with panic in her voice. In seconds, this peaceful place would become a war zone. Alex took a deep breath and launched himself into the air, pulling his knees to his chest in a perfect cannonball position. Time seemed to slow down as he fell toward the glowing water. He could see Kira's face, her expression frozen in shock and fear. He could hear the soldiers breaking through the last line of trees. He could see the first helicopter settling into the clearing, its rotors still spinning. Then he hit the water. The moment Alex broke the surface, everything changed. The pool erupted in brilliant light that was visible even through the jungle canopy. The water didn't feel cold or warm. It felt alive, like liquid electricity flowing over his skin. Instead of sinking, Alex found himself floating in a cocoon of glowing energy. Above the surface, Kira screamed in a language that was older than human civilization. The soldiers who had just entered the clearing stopped dead in their tracks, their weapons forgotten as they stared at the impossible sight before them. Dr. Collins, who had been running toward the pool calling Alex's name, fell to her knees in amazement. The pool's light was growing brighter and brighter, sending pulses of energy rippling outward through the ground. The helicopter's electronic systems began to malfunction, their engines sputtering as electromagnetic waves interfered with their controls. The pilots fought to maintain control as their instruments went haywire. Deep beneath the water, Alex felt like he was being scanned by invisible hands. The energy surrounding him seemed to be reading his thoughts, his memories, his deepest intentions. He felt no fear, only a sense of profound connection to something vast and ancient. Suddenly, symbols began appearing in the water around him. The same symbols that were carved into the rocks, but now they were glowing like living things. As Alex watched, the symbols rearranged themselves, forming new patterns that somehow made perfect sense to him, even though he had never seen them before. The pool was communicating with him. In that moment of connection, Alex understood everything. The pool wasn't just a sacred site, it was a communication device, a test, and a bridge all at once. For thousands of years it had been waiting for someone brave enough and pure enough in heart to activate it. Above the surface, the light show was reaching its peak. Beams of energy shot up from the pool into the sky, forming patterns that looked like star maps. The very air seemed to sing with harmonics that touched something deep in the soul of everyone who heard them. Kira stared at the display in wonder and terror. According to her people's oldest legends, this was what the pool was truly meant to do. But it had never happened before, not in all the centuries her people had guarded it. The human in the water wasn't dying. He was being transformed. And somewhere in the depths of space, ancient receivers were picking up the pool's signal for the first time in millennia, preparing to send a response that would change both their worlds forever. Alex floated in the glowing water for what felt like hours, though only minutes had passed in the real world. The energy surrounding him wasn't just touching his body, it was connecting with his mind, sharing memories and knowledge that belonged to an entire civilization. He saw Kira's homeworld, a beautiful planet with purple skies and crystal cities that sparkled like jewels. He watched as her people, the Valyrians, faced a terrible choice when their son began to die. Some wanted to stay and perish with their world, but others believed they had a responsibility to preserve their knowledge and culture among the stars. Through the pool's ancient memories, Alex experienced the Valyrians' first arrival on Earth thousands of years ago. They had been explorers then, not conquerors. They had studied early humans with the same curiosity Alex had shown toward the pool, and they had made a decision that shaped both species' futures. Instead of revealing themselves, the Valerians had chosen to wait. They left behind sacred sites like this pool as tests, hoping that one day humans would evolve enough to understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom, between discovery and exploitation. As these visions flowed through Alex's mind, he began to understand why Kira had been so conflicted about him. Her people had been watching humanity for centuries, waiting for signs that Earth's dominant species was ready to join the galactic community. But every time humans discovered something powerful, they found ways to use it for destruction rather than creation. The pool's energy pulsed stronger, and suddenly Alex could feel Kira's emotions as if they were his own. He experienced her loneliness as the last guardian of this sacred site, her frustration with orders that went against her personal beliefs, and her growing hope that maybe this one human was different from the others. Above the water, everyone watched in amazement as the light show continued. The Brazilian soldiers had lowered their weapons and were staring at the sky, where the pool's energy beams were creating patterns that looked like a map of the galaxy. Dr. Collins was frantically trying to record everything with her equipment, but the electromagnetic interference was too strong. Kira stood at the pool's edge, her crystalline weapon forgotten. She could feel the connection between Alex and the sacred waters, and it filled her with a mixture of wonder and terror. If the pool had accepted him, it meant something that would change everything her people believed about humans. Suddenly, Alex's head broke the surface of the water. He was glowing with the same soft blue light as the pool, and his eyes held depths of knowledge that hadn't been there before. But he was still human, still himself. "I understand now," he said, his voice carrying new harmonics that resonated like music. This was never meant to be hidden forever. It was meant to be a bridge. Kira helped pull him from the water, amazed to find that he felt exactly the same as before. No alien changes, no mysterious powers. The only difference was in his eyes, which now held the wisdom of two civilizations. "The pool accepted you," she whispered in amazement. "In all our recorded history, no one has ever passed the test." Alex looked around at the chaos in the clearing. The soldiers were still staring at the sky. Dr. Collins was shouting questions that no one could answer, and the helicopter pilots were struggling with their malfunctioning equipment. But already the pool's light was beginning to fade back to its normal soft glow. "They're afraid," Alex said, understanding the situation with new clarity. "Fear makes people do terrible things, but wonder makes them do beautiful things." He walked toward Dr. Collins, water still dripping from his hair. His colleague's face showed a mixture of relief, confusion, and scientific excitement. That would have been funny under different circumstances. "Alex, thank God you're alive. What happened?" The electromagnetic readings went off the charts and the water was glowing like a nuclear reactor, and she stopped talking when she saw his eyes. "You look different. What did that thing do to you?" "It showed me the truth," Alex said simply. "Dr. Collins, I need you to listen carefully. Everything we think we know about life in the universe is wrong. We're not alone and we never have been. But whether we're ready to learn from our neighbors depends on what we do right here, right now." The lead soldier, a captain whose nameplate read Silva, approached cautiously. "Dr. Rivers, we need to secure this area and get you to safety. We don't know what kind of radiation or contamination you might have been exposed to." Alex shook his head. "Captain, with respect, the only danger here comes from treating this place like a threat instead of a gift. This pool is a communication device left by a peaceful civilization. It's been waiting for someone pure enough in heart to activate it." He gestured toward Kira, who had been standing quietly at the edge of the group. "This is Kira. She's been protecting this place for longer than our country has existed. Her people have been waiting to see if humans are ready to join a larger community of intelligent species." The soldiers raised their weapons again, but Alex stepped between them and Kira. "She could have destroyed all of us at any time. Her technology is thousands of years ahead of ours, but she chose to wait, to give us a chance to prove we're better than our worst impulses." Dr. Collins was recording everything on her phone, her scientific mind struggling to process the implications. Alex, if this is real, if there really are aliens living among us, the world needs to know. The world will know, Alex said, looking up at the sky where new lights were beginning to appear. Because they're coming. High above the atmosphere, Valerian ships that had been waiting in the outer solar system received the pool's signal and began their approach to Earth. But these weren't invasion ships, they were diplomatic vessels, carrying ambassadors who had been hoping for this moment for centuries. Kira activated a communication device and spoke rapidly in her musical language. When she finished, she turned to the assembled humans with something that might have been a smile. "I have told my people that Earth is ready for contact," she said. "The test has been passed, but understand that this is just the beginning. Your species will have to prove itself worthy of the knowledge we can share." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "What happens now?" "Now we learn from each other," Kira replied. "Your people have something my civilization lost long ago, the ability to find joy in discovery, to feel wonder at the unknown. And my people have knowledge that could help heal your world's wounds." As the first Valerian ships began to descend through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls gleaming like liquid metal in the sunlight, Alex realized that his cannonball into forbidden waters had changed the course of human history. The pool continued to glow softly, its ancient purpose finally fulfilled. It was no longer a forbidden mystery, but the first embassy between two worlds. And standing beside it, a human scientist and an alien guardian watched together as their peoples prepared to meet for the first time. The age of isolation was over. The age of understanding had begun.